Hello, everyone. Welcome to Wisdom Weekly Live, hosted by Women of Innovation and Impact International, also known as WOIII. So, what we do is every month, we're going to pick a topic that we want to discuss and kind of deep dive and share with you guys a bit. So, this month is National Financial Literacy and Investments. And so I have the beautiful Marie Aspling, who's going to be our co-host today. And we are really going to deep dive a little bit on certain topics. And, last month was health, and we went live talking about health. And so having Marie here is really a privilege and an honor because she's personally my own coach and has helped me in my own health journey. But when we talk about financial literacy and investments, right? The health aspect is a big portion of that. And when we think of investments, we think of money, right? And so today we will kind of gear a little bit on both ends, and we're going to talk about investments. So our three topics will be on investment. And I think investment in self, we can really start in that journey because we will segue and talk about investments in real estate and different asset classes and how to really grow that. And then the third investment is really going to be about investments in relationships and leveraging and how to grow and scale. But I think we want to start our conversation today with investing in yourself. And I think that's a huge journey because we are so in our busy, and I fall guilty of this, where you're so driven, and most of women are very driven. We do so great, but we wear so many hats that sometimes we come last, right, Marie? And so I'm going to let you take the lead a little bit and share with us, what you do. But my name is Dr. Huang Nguyen. And then I'm going to have you take the floor a little bit because I really want you to share with our women listeners about investing in yourself and especially in your health.
Yes, that's my favorite topic. You know that. And thank you so much, Hua. I love you. And thank you for having me here today. It is my honor. And I'm so looking forward to be more part of this community, and women's empowerment and women's success and women supporting each other is something that is so close to my heart and means so much at this stage in my career, in my life. So thank you. So, a little bit about me. I am originally from Sweden and I moved to this country in 2004. So, I came here for a PhD in medical research. So, I have a master's in biomedical science, and I was going down the very traditional path, getting my medical degree. And about 2 years into that, I just knew I wanted to see America. I'd never been here. So I packed my suitcases, came to this country, and had no idea what journey was going to take me on. So 2 years into my PhD, I just felt that this wasn't where I belonged. I wanted to help humans from a different perspective. I wanted to prevent disease. I wanted to show people how they can take care of themselves so that we struggle less. I was watching the world and global health just kind of deteriorating. So that was my observation. And I felt that people's quality of life was really going down, and it was going down in age too. So even in, when in the 20s and 30s, people were struggling with major physical, emotional, mental health crisis. So I left. I actually quit my PhD to go back to school, became a personal trainer. Yeah, my family called me crazy. They thought I was absolutely insane for not becoming a doctor. But that education is something that stayed with me. So now when I do health and lifestyle coaching, like I do with you, I take that medical background, I just apply it differently. I believe that if we nurture our body and our mind with the right things, we can really peak our physical state, our mental state, our emotional state, and we work a lot with mindset. So I always say I want to educate people and empower people to become more aware of their body, their thoughts, their belief systems, their habits, because their daily habits will create their health, right? So it's accumulative. So often when we're in our 20s, we can push through, like you said, right? We get busy in our education, we get into the rat race, and I did too. And I found myself in my late 20s just burnt out. I said, there must be more to life. There must be something more. My soul was dying in the big city. And I realized now when I'm in Rhode Island in one of my rental properties, and nature was so healing for me. So
Yes.
that's another component of investing in your health. So fast forward, went back to school, massage therapy, personal training. Over the last 15 years, I've worked one-on-one with clients. I opened my very first business in 2010, a wellness center in Boston, where I really created I entered that industry of fitness and health and wellness because I was working at corporate settings. And I just felt that the typical personal training was chasing numbers, repetitions, and sets. And nobody really asked if they really served the person. It was more checking the box. And I saw, I worked with executives and they came in, they got their workout in, but they still struggled in their health, right? So
Mhm.
sometimes it's not just what we do, it's how we do it. So I opened Balance, which is Swedish for balance. And that was 13 years ago. We just had our 13th anniversary this month.
Congratulations.
Yeah, and then because I'm a biochemist and I think of health from inside out, I wanted to enter a new industry, which is the spa, beauty, and skincare industry. So in
Mhm.
2015, I opened my second business, which was the very first organic spa in New England. And
Wow.
then, so that was something, again, people call me crazy because I'm not a spa person, but I'm a health person. I wanted to show that
Right.
we can go and receive a massage without the toxic oils and have more medicinal effect and it boost our immune system. And while we do these, treatments and self-care,
So
but
let me
more,
ask
yeah.
Marie, let me ask you this. You coming from Sweden, you're coming to America, you're going through this journey. How do you have the courage and what advice do you have for someone who wants to start a business, right? Who doesn't really know all of where to begin? Like, what helped you with the courage and the resource of how did you even start your own business to accomplish? And congratulations on 13 years. But help us through that.
It's a great question, and I've been given this so much thought, dissecting, because I get that question a lot. So I think there's something to having pressure in life. So I came here on my own. I have no family, no
Mhm.
community. I had no social security. I had no credit score. So you have no safety net, right? I have nothing to lean on. So I think, and when I was living in Sweden, Sweden is a socialistic, more confined country. It's like you fall in line. Being entrepreneurial is tougher
Yeah.
there. So I've been an observer in my life, and I always said there's something more to life. And I had heard that America is the country of opportunity, right? And freedom. So to answer your question, courage, I think that parts of it is how we are hardwired. I do think that we are born with a certain kind of drive, but then it comes down to also working with your own self. And for me, I've always looked to try new things, and it was this, like, I have to, when I see something lacking, when I see it that people are not receiving the best treatment, and if people are suffering, I'm very, very looking for improving systems and
Right.
having high quality of life. So for me, it wasn't necessarily about opening a business, it was a mission to really help people. So it was a deep desire. So I never came at it from a business perspective. So
Mhm.
I'm not money motivated per se. I
That's
love money because of the good things we can do in life. So I can
mhm.
help more people the more money I have. But it's been secondary of having this desire to no matter what. And I'm very stubborn in that way. So if someone tells me, I'm a little rebellious, I have to say. So if someone says like, these are the rules, I'm like, I'm going to bend those rules. I'm going to show you.
But
So,
I love that. I
and I think
absolutely
that's
love
not a box. So
this.
so I've been called crazy. Like, I was the very first one to bring posture to Boston. And people looked at me like I had two heads. They're like, "You doing what?" And I'm like, "Yeah, posture." So, and now 13 years later, people walk in the door, they're like, "I need to improve my posture." I'm like, "I
Yeah.
know." So
No,
I think
I love
I have an eye. It's not so much, I just have been on that path of setting trends. So I've always seen what the need is before people see it. So, but it's been hard, Hua. It's, to answer your question, it now people look at success and they see the end product. And I'm sure you can
Right.
relate that
Absolutely.
that's a lonely path. I went against very, deep core beliefs in the industry of fitness and wellness. And then the spa was like the first one. And
You know,
it's a very hard, lonely path,
also
but
ways for health, and it's the same way in the world of finances and money, right? Going
yeah,
against the streamline, and and so you're going to
against the
get,
masses.
right, you're going to get things, but it is you hit the nail on the head when you talk about, when people talk about the driver of the why, and you just have that deep desire to want to help more people.
Mhm.
And yes, the business came out of it and the money is secondary to it. And money creates and opens more opportunities and allows us to do a lot of other things. But that
Right.
is the core when you start off. And, the business and the money is not the primary. It's
Yeah.
wanting to help more people. And so we'll pivot to our second, so
Yeah.
investing. And I think obviously health is so important when you're dealing with talking about investments, but we're going to pivot a
Yeah.
little bit
I'm just
about,
going to add one thing to that, because what I've seen over the last 2 decades, I have not yet seen one individual that hasn't improved their health and improved all the other areas in life.
it's true,
So
absolutely.
that was one thing I recognized. And people, I was not open 7 days a week because I'm like, I'm putting my health first. And that's something I was consistent with. And that really kept me, from drowning when it was hard to build a business. So it was hard. But when you don't sacrifice your health, which is another kind of misbelief in this culture, that we have to grind, we have to hustle, we have to be sleep deprived, we have to just, and that's wrong. Like, we need to stay balanced. We can have both. We can be
You
healthy
can.
and
And health
successful.
is the biggest wealth. I will totally 100% agree that health is the biggest wealth,
Yeah.
because you can have all the wealth in the world financially, but if you don't have your health and truly enjoy it and have the good quality of
Yeah.
life, what's the point, right? And
Yeah.
so absolutely, one sector, health, will have a domino positive effect in all other areas
So
of
much, so
life.
much. Absolutely.
So
And it's very empowering to
it
lean on your
is.
health,
It is
because
so
then you feel stronger. So it leads, especially for women. I obviously relate to women and I love women's empowerment. And when you find when they can have control over their body, their mind, and they understand it more deeply, now they can become a more effective entrepreneurs or leaders or co-workers. Like, it's very beautiful when it starts from within.
Yeah, so let's talk about investing
Hmm.
in real estate, like in assets, right?
Hmm.
Assets, something where instead of you own, and there are different ways. There's so many, like real estate investing is a whole umbrella of different things that you can do. You mentioned your rental. I also have rental Airbnb, but we have different sectors. So I want to talk a little bit about how to actually have active income from your businesses or wherever you work, and then also having multiple streams of income, and real estate just being one other vehicle to
Right.
diversify your portfolio. Sabrina, she did an earlier segment this month, and she's in, we're talking about IRAs and differentiating those things. And then a
Yeah.
lot of those are more, well, you hear about those a little bit more. But when people hear about real estate investing, it's very broad spectrum. And
Hmm.
so, you can do a lot of active, you can do a lot of passive investing. And so we'll touch a little bit about the second thing, is real estate investing a little bit more in specifics. And I'll go first a little bit, and then you can talk a little bit about your
I
rental and how
think
you think about
you're
that.
more suited for this. You have more qualifications on this end. So I'll jump in on my little sliver at the end. But you
No
go.
worries.
You're the queen of real estate investment. So
But like Jaime and I mean, we're eye doctors by
yeah.
trade, and we started our business and we've been eye doctors for 18 years, and we have two private practices. But we pivoted into real estate, and we're still eye doctors, but now very part-time. But we started into our real estate investing journey about 8 years ago when our daughter was born. And we wanted time freedom in addition to financial freedom, because we were still working 6, 7 days a week in our practice. And so we wanted to figure out, like, how do you work smarter? How can
Mhm.
we diversify and have our money, our active income, multiply and grow faster? And we knew real estate was kind of that vehicle. And so that's been a game changer for Jaime and I to really have the flexibility to really enjoy being a mommy, having the milestones and being there with Athena, but then continuing to scale our practices in optometry and build a real estate portfolio that's very diversified. And so a lot of people don't know exactly how to get into the game. And so the education component and learning the process, but actually doing it. And so we do own Airbnb. We are part of hotel, but our sweet spot has really been multifamily. And so when we started learning about the model of what's called a syndication, most people have never heard of real estate investing in terms of multifamily syndication. And so someone like me, I would never have dreamed to have a part ownership in, say, a $50 million or $70 million apartment community. That would be something I could never even dream about.
Mhm.
But when I started learning about the world of syndication, and you can actively invest or you can be a passive investor where you just really leverage someone else to do all the work and have your money work for you, I didn't know that was a thing. I really thought it was too good to be true. And
Mhm.
so that's been a vehicle where, and syndication just means that investors are able to pool money together. And it can be sometimes 25,000 or 50,000 to start. And you can have part ownership and have all the advantages of ownership of real estate without being a landlord. And so
Right.
you can have the tax advantages of and the depreciation and the appreciation of the asset and all of the things that you normally would like to have. You can do that even as a passive investor. And so that was a really big game changer in trying to do that and help other people along the way as we were growing and scaling our businesses. And then now we've gotten into land development, and they're all different segments of how does it work? What's your risk tolerance? And how active do you want to be involved? And so I'm going to let you do a little bit. I know you talked about your rental, but it's also a place I presume you use personally too, or do you just rent it out?
So again, I'm very non-conventional. So I tend to think outside the box. So my model may not work for everyone, but just to what you shared, Hua, you were the first one that brought the word syndication into my life. I'd never heard of it before. So I am where you were before you started what you're doing, where I think of owning a house or a multifamily and not partnering and not leveraging and investing in larger
Oh,
developments and so forth. So that's actually where I'm at to take my life to the next level, to kind of think bigger. And I always have self-funded everything. I've never done investments. So it's been keeping me in a certain, you know, place, right? So I've done really well. And my first investment, and I love how you said that, about asset, right? Because again, if we follow the societal norms, they often talk about buy your first house, get married, buy a house, and blah, blah, blah. But when you
right,
buy your house, it's a liability. And now you get stuck quickly in that rat race of having to make the money to spend the money on where you live. And quickly I see young people getting into that trap, which I think is devastating for a lot of people, and they can't get ahead. So
right.
what I did was I invested in a multifamily. That was my first one. So I always kept my expenses low. I get the question of how did you build your business? Because I self-funded it. I saved up $19,000. This is 2019, right? So, and then I was like, I can't afford having a rent or that. So I got into building, and this is where the multifamily just like was a light bulb went off, because then I was living for free. Because the rent you collect basically pays for the mortgage, and then the depreciation and all the tax savings and all that was really helpful. And then I was in a former relationship too, when we did like investments into different buildings. And that's when I really opened my eyes to real estate. That I didn't start a 401k. I didn't do anything else. I was just like real estate. So I did some, investments. I put 50,000 in here for a certain return, right? 15% to 20% and so forth. And then in 2016, so I own a multifamily in a very sought after neighborhood in Chestnut Hill outside Boston. And for those of you who know, Boston College is right there. So I have a 2 unit, it's 4 bedrooms in each, where I rent to
Mhm.
students. And that market is really beautiful because you rent rooms. I do one lease for each unit. So they still sign the lease, but the rent is rather high because you can charge per room. So near colleges and universities, I always recommend, because it's a market that will always remain the same, if not go up. So it's a very safe investment with a high return. So I bring in about 3 times the mortgage I bring in rent every month, which is great. So that's the passive income.
That's great.
And then the house I'm sitting in right now, and I used to live in that house too when I had my foster son. And then I bought this house in 2016. This is located in Rhode Island. It's right on a river, very country, where I love hiking and connecting to
You
nature, part of
pictures
the
on
medicine. Yeah. I do. I start my cold plunge here, so I dive into the river every day through the winter, which has really transformed me inside out too. But this is my sanctuary. This is where I go to recharge my soul, and it's giving me so much healing. But then I found a way to do through VRBO, so I
that.
host through there. And now it started this weekend, so I'm just here for 3 days, and now it's rented through Labor Day with 3 night minimum, right? But I can jump in here and there if it's a night available, so forth. So I still get to enjoy it, but I love renting it out to families. I have 2 families coming this weekend. They've been here for 3 years in a row, because it's such a magical place
Right.
where they can create memories. So now financially, I have not spent $1 since 2016 on this house. I've
Wow.
made over probably $200,000, but I reinvested it. So I've done new siding and new roof and new saltwater pool, like all these features, and it's been a tax deduction.
I'm
So
gonna
it's
have to
like
roll
amazing.
if I go in that neck of the woods. And so I did a lifestyle kind of like for personal use, but then I rented out similar to, but in Belize. And
Oh,
so it's
I've never been. I hear it's beautiful.
direct from Dallas. I went in 2015, absolutely fell in love at the island there. I told Jaime, I called him that night and I said, we're buying something here. And he
I
absolutely
love it.
crazy. But that was actually our first investment. I actually did the hard way. I bought raw land. We built it from ground up construction. So the whole architectural process and design and picking everything out. But it's a legacy asset. And so it's named after our daughter. It's called Athena's Mahogany House by the Bay. And we go there every few months. And so we're going there in a couple of weeks. But every few months, and we're not there, we Airbnb it out, and we have a property management company who manages and takes care of everything there. And so it's a lifestyle for us for us to be able to use. We bring our teams there. We've built so many memories in that home, but then it's also creating money,
Income. You get
income,
to enjoy it, and it's a financial investment and asset, right?
So I know,
It's
and so, Sharon Lecter, I read Rich Dad Poor Dad, and that was really the eye opener for me to get into the world of real estate. And so the last summit that we had by WOIII, she was there. And to have like my mentor, someone that I look up to so much, and she was there. And, I've spent some time with her, but she talks about assets all the time. And she's like, assets are sexy, and more people
I
talk about
love it.
assets.
So
And so
good.
good. Well, let's go on to the third topic. But there's so many ways you can slice and dice, but just assets. Yeah, start racking up assets, not
Assets. I love what you said too. Work smarter. We got to break free of this culture of trading our time for a paycheck.
yes.
We are trading and saying, okay, I'm putting in these hours, but if you can leverage your time and efforts and then triple, maybe quadruple that income, that's the key to time freedom.
Good segue. You said leverage. So that's a great segue into our third topic of investing, but investing in relationships and
Mm.
leverage, right? Because you can try to do it all alone, but it's going to be definitely harder and slower. And so when we get into the world of understanding how money really works and building relationships and getting to know and get out of your comfort zone, get to know people in different avenues. And that's how, I've came across you. We come from different worlds, right?
I
But we
know.
come together, and so you can leverage and learn. There's always
Mhm.
opportunity to learn. I always say I'm a full I'm a lifetime learner. And so my mind
Yes,
is
lifetime student, I call myself.
student,
Yeah.
right? I'm
Yeah.
always in learning mode. I always want to
Mhm.
know. And it's building good relationships, good
Mhm.
people who have the same core values and
Mhm.
who can help along the way and who have the same principles.
Right.
And we can leverage those relationships and nurture those. And when that's good, your businesses and all the other areas of your life can grow, and it can be more fun. It can be
Yes.
easier. You can work smarter. And so relationships, has been a big journey. And that's such, like, for me, when I was growing up, I was so shy. And
Mhm.
so getting into bigger rooms and networking and speaking and like I was really intimidated. And it really
Okay.
took many, many years of peeling that layer to get to out there and be open to learning and growing and getting to know people on a deeper level. And when you get into the world of like, wow, it's possible. There's so much more out there, and it's just
Yeah.
endless. It's limitless. It's
Oh,
exciting.
absolutely. It's in a very expansive
It's
mindset
very
and
expansive.
abundant. And I think that's what's so key, that's where investing in yourself comes first. And I love how you place that at the top, because if you have a scarcity mindset, it doesn't matter what you do. It's going to be a really, really difficult journey, right? So
Right.
working on mindset and abundant mindset, but the relationships. I always say the quality of our relationships is the quality of our lives. It
Absolutely.
really is.
It's so important because, and it takes time, it takes patience, Sometimes people build relationships and they want to just get something, and if you have the abundance mindset just to give and let the relationship organically develop, that's where meaningful, authentic relationships will, if business comes from it, great, but don't expect it and don't have any type of, just get, or, just give. And then
Certificate.
if it's a
Yeah,
synergy that naturally happens, it will happen, you know?
right.
And so I think that's important. But, when you talk about how can we multiply in wealth in life, wealth in richness, wealth in health, wealth in finances, wealth in family, fun, all the different sectors of your life that make your life
Mhm,
complete. Because at the end of the day, we all want inner peace. We want joy. We want
mhm,
fulfillment. We want to have an impact. We want to make a difference,
mhm.
right? And so the power of leveraging and getting together, and that's the whole goal of, when I joined, Crystal Richardson is really the head of WOIII. And I'm one of the executive board members. And when she reached out and she asked me to join as one of the board members, it has to be very mission driven for me
Mhm.
because, I was like, I don't want to just join a group just to join a group, and titles to me mean nothing. And
Yeah.
so, and I was like, because the women that are in this organization come from all walks of life, Marie. And I just, when I met you, and I was like, you would be such a good fit for this community because, like Sabrina, like Crystal, I mean, there's like Dr. Emily, all the people, there's so many, and everyone has their own niche of what they do. But the end goal, everyone is very heart centered, everyone is very mission driven, and they're all successful in their own very big powerhouses who are all very humble. And that's what I align. And when we talk about, we want to create this group, and we want to have this, and especially live summits. I love virtual, but like live takes it to
Mhm.
another level. And so
Absolutely.
this August event, like, it's going to be in Pittsburgh. It's going to be coming in August 25th through the 27th. We're hosting an annual Powerful Women's Summit, and we want women from all walks of life, and even bring their kids. We had
Yeah.
women who brought their children last time, because what we're about in WOII is honoring wisdom, but we also want to innovate and empower our next gen of
Mhm.
women leaders. That's really what the goal of it is. And so we want to collectively, and when we talk about relationship, I would love to meet some of you women to come out and
Mhm.
come summit with us. And I know we're wrapping up on time. I know our minute's coming up. So I
Mhm.
really think everyone for joining us today. And we hope that today's innovative nuggets of wisdom inspired you to take action. And it's not just sharing our story, but we want to share our story and some nuggets so that you can take action for your life, right? And know that it's possible, regardless of where you are in your journey, that it is possible. And surround yourself around others who are already doing what you'd like to attain. And I think that's the best way to collapse the time frame. And so for more information and to join us as a moderator, board member, or to attend our annual Powerful Women Summit in August, see our website. It's WOIII.com, or contact Sabrina Prodick or Crystal Richardson for details. So everyone have a great week. Thank you, Marie, so much for joining us.
Thank you
And
so much.
continue to live each day unapologetically with honor and gratitude. Remember to keep rising, because women, you are powerful. Thanks everyone for joining. Thank you, Marie, for joining us. Well, bye everyone.
Thank you. Bye.